Everything I need and more. Hey man, I don't even know what the fuck this video about. I literally just felt like recording, so we're gonna sit here and yap. I'm gonna do my fucking first Let's Play, baby. We're about to try out a game. Let's do it. Oh, yo. But nah, man. I'll be honest, man, this situation getting out of fucking control, bro. This Trump shit, this shit getting wild, But you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. I don't want to yap about that. Let's yap about something else. Let's yap about some feelings I've had. Um, I find it incredibly difficult to have these conversations with people. Just on because of the fact that like I don't think many people are willing to have their minds changed. This idea was pointed out to me earlier today. Um, and I feel like that could be a large contributor to the style and type of conversations I've been having. I don't get me wrong. I could be stroking and sucking and licking my own dick here, as I tend to do. But I do have this idea of myself that, and I feel like I do have the the reputation of being easygoing, the reputation of being moldable and maneuverable. I feel like I have the reputation um to back that up. I don't think that me saying that and saying I am like open-minded, me saying that I am this, that I am that, I don't think it's me being conceited. I don't think it's me being grandiose in my self-assessment. I really don't believe that. I genuinely do feel like that's a characteristic of myself that I don't feel many people that I interact with today share. I don't feel like that's a that idea, that concept is often reciprocated. Um, so yeah. And I feel like that leads to the conversations and the discourse that I have. It not only does it lead to an area of heightened frustration for me, it leads to it leads to a sense of hopelessness. It leads to an idea of I don't even know. I'm frustrated I can't get through to the person when seemingly like I feel like because and another thing, right? Because I'm gonna continue to stroke my own ego here, and I'm saying that of course like somewhat ironically. Um, I do have this idea that I don't even know, dude. I don't have an issue with disagreeing with people. I feel like I've been able to demonstrate that in conversations with people. Disagreeing with people is not my issue. I think being on a completely different factual basis, on seemingly operating on different moral planes, operating in ways that aren't, how can I say, aren't typical. People have not been acting in a typical fashion. Um, we disagree on things today in the United States that I feel like we largely should not disagree with each other. And I think having like these major schisms, I don't know where they came from, but having these major schisms is like kind of the driving force behind a lot of the frustration and hopelessness and angst that I feel while having these convos. Um, so yeah, and finding ways to get around that, you know, because I'll be honest, the thing about misinformation is most people don't consume it in a malevolent manner. A lot of people get captured in these bubbles, a lot of people get captured in these ideals. and don't and refuse to explore outside sources and kind of just get caught in a typical narrative, and then we'll look for, evidence to reinforce that narrative. I don't think people do it in a malevolent way, but the thing is, when combating misinformation, it is very difficult to change people's minds on a factual basis. I can't present you a new study that conflicts with your worldview because you've established it. I have to appeal to something else to open you up to the idea of change. And that is a skill that I don't feel I have yet. Being able to, being able to, uh, the opposite of objectify, I was going to say objectify, the, to subjectify the struggling that people feel, to personalize it, to speak in a way that enables emotional attachment is not a skill that I have and something that I want to develop because I think largely that's where that's where I'm losing people in my conversations at. Why? Because I get upset because of X, Y, Z. I feel not heard. I feel all these things. And that passion seeps out into frustration and seeps out into a bunch of other things, which only serve to further undermine my goal. And that's of getting us on the same playing field, where we can disagree and have discussions, but we're not even there. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about that. When it comes to appealing in emotional space, I think some examples that I would use or bring up or, you want to repeal the ACA, what if it was your grandma that was sick? What if it was your family member who didn't make enough money and now you guys have to, you have to cancel your vacations to pay for, $26,000 in medical bills, to pay for hospice, to pay for cancer treatment, to pay for this, to pay for that. You know, what would you do if you were broke? What if you didn't have the job that you did? Because you earn more than 86% of the population, you earn more than the median household income. What about everybody that's beneath you? What about everybody else that has two kids? What about everybody else? Is it just fuck them? I think finding ways to, because we don't even get to make it to policy. I feel like I have to do a better job of realizing we're not at a policy level debate yet. We're engaging in the wrong ground. To fight propaganda, we have to appeal and misinformation. We have to appeal to people's emotions to even open up their ears to listening to alternatives. Um, and I don't know how I can hijack the land of emotional, because for a large portion of my life, I feel like emotions were not a dictating force, and now that they are, more present probably than they've ever been. Finding a way to navigate that space is interesting to say the least, and somewhat difficult. Um, so yeah, I don't know. There's that. I don't want to come off as too combative, but I feel strongly, and I feel like other people either, I'll be honest, I feel like egos get in the way a lot. I feel like nobody's willing to admit that they're wrong when they're wrong, or to change their opinions. Everybody looks upon the changing of an opinion as weakness. I've conceded the point. I've lost the argument. But truth be told, and it's a difficult thing to frame in your own mind, being wrong is probably one of the most beautiful things you can be. You've established a thought pattern based off of, some level of evidence, some level of logic and reasoning. You live in a society where you're free to stress test and have your ideas subjugated to criticism openly and honestly. And then, upon revelation of correctness or incorrectness, you get to go back to your think tank. You get to go back to the lab, refine and change, whether that's small steps or a complete shift. Being wrong isn't, being open-minded isn't weakness. Having understanding isn't weakness. Yeah, if anything, it takes incredible strength to realize when somebody, especially yourself, You may have been barking up the wrong tree. Um, so I don't like that. I feel that's largely the case, based off the conversations I've had, the questions that I've asked. Would you change your mind if this happened? I present a hypothetical that's like actually true. Would you change your mind if like X, Y, and Z, some atrocious act occurred? Would that change your mind? To them, it's a hypothetical. To me, it's my reality. And they say, you know what? Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. Yeah, I'm gonna stand my ground. I'm gonna stand on business. I'm gonna continue to reiterate the same talking points with zero regard for everything that like I brought to the table. And I'll be honest, I think that's part of the frustration is I do feel dismissed. I do feel like ostracized and not heard because I feel like I've devoted enough time, enough of myself to these ideals, to these practices that when I'm not given the time of day or my thoughts aren't even given the value of being considered, it's disheartening to say the least. That's something about that. But that being said, because of my great friends, nah, fuck that great friend. I'm willing to withstand the torment. I will I'll continue to brave the storm, if you will. Yeah, because you only lose what you give up. And who knows? Through more pain, suffering, and interactions, I myself could learn a thing or two. But yeah, man. How did he die? Oh, he deals 4 damage now instead of 3. Oh, that just won me this round, maybe. Nope, sure didn't. Wishful thinking, eh? Ah, dale, it heals him. Dale, oh, dale, oh, dale. But yeah, man. Let's see. So that's enough about that. Something else I wanted to talk about was this. I think the difference. What come on? Thank you. The difference between Republicans currently and kind of where, um, yeah, the difference currently. What else? I don't really know what else. Oh, why they won the last election. So, truth be told, not that Democrats don't care about trans people, not any of these things. The thing is, Democrats are the party of the people. Republicans have kind of stereotypically been like big business, the party of the establishment. You kind of hear these libertarian takes of anti-establishment, where any big bureaucratic organization or any large formation of people is inherently like negative, and it's all about smallness, smallness, smallness. Um, which has been like more and more adopted by like I think people like Cenk Uygur, um, who's a prominent Democrat, and like known anti-establishment guy. Um, but anyway, we have policies in the Democratic Party. Um, to we fight for, especially Bernie Sanders, like we fight to raise minimum wage. Biden established a cap on drugs, $35 for insulin, $35 for inhalers to lower the cost for Americans. Um, we're a party for the people. We give tax breaks, the single child tax or the single child tax credit and the Kamala's proposed, tax credit for home buyers and like all of these things. Like they heard their base, they understood the problems, and they tried to address it. Biden was the first president, I think, maybe ever, or maybe since a certain aspect in time, that stood. with unions, that stood with workers on the picket line. Brother, Democrats are down there with people for people. And I say all that to say it's strange and strange and somewhat interesting to me that Republicans can conjure up a base to and allow them to vote in a way that directly undermines their own self-interest, especially because Trump's supporters were largely disproportionately poor and white. Um, so how can this phenomenon take place where somebody votes directly against their self-interest? Well, I think I have through listening to some rhetoric, through kind of like doing some own thought analysis of my own, what I've come to realize is that Democrats we fought a political battle when we shouldn't have. We fought a political battle when we needed to fight a culture war. Um, because that's ultimately what was done to us. Um, it was driven home that we are the party of transness and X, Y, and Z, and they let people in sports, and they're gonna fuck up the rights of your daughters to play sports, and I mean just all these atrocious, awful things that you could say about a party of people, or a group of people rather. And but name me at any time during that election that Walz or Kamala like talked about trans people. I'll be honest, we didn't. We probably should have did it just to set the record straight, but we didn't talk about transness. Who ran all the trans ads? It was Republicans. You know why? Bro, the trans debate, we had that shit back in 2018. Now, I was not very politically active back then, but I did witness the culture war and got to exchange ideas with my peers. This debate was back in 2018, and my position has largely changed on it since then. But it was back in 2018, brother. We talked about women and trans in sports. We talked about the segregation of sports leagues. We talked about like the bathroom situation. We talked about all this. I'll be honest, it's all largely solved. Like we did all this. It's done. That was damn. I said 5 years ago. Motherfucking 7 years ago. I'm old as shit. I'm gonna die soon. Damn. Anyway, we lost because of a culture war. We lost because people don't like to see culture change, not because of our political agenda. Kamala didn't say anything about implementing trans bullshit. I support her if she did, but like we weren't talking about this. But for some reason, consistently, and I noticed this in arguments with Stefan, MAGA Republicans are able to consistently label us as woke. And one, make wokeism a bad thing. Two, like every Democrat is this blue-haired fucking liberal that thinks the government should be abolished, communism should be implemented, and every kid should, have their and no kid should have their sex or gender written on their birth certificate. Like, not every Democrat is that. But that's the way we've been effectively painted. Um, and they've done it so well. I mean, it's really admirable. It's impressive. They've done this to us with impunity and they've gotten away with it. They've done it to such a high degree, such a high cap that it's impossible to combat. So we either need to disavow or do something to shift the narrative back in our favor, because as of right now, we're struggling in that department. And get people to realize, like, hey guys, we're not the Democratic Party th we think we are, and Republicans need to. But that's how they appealed to their voters. They won on that basis. They won on that, and it hurt us bad, dude. It hurt us really bad. What else? I really don't know, dude. Yeah, we just got to be able to steal back the emotional messaging and understand and make people understand the role of culture and separate it from politics to a degree. That is probably much easier said than done. I don't, I said those words like they left my mouth, but I don't think even I have like a clear, ideologically, I have an end goal, but at this point, I don't even know how you would go about effectuating that outcome. Um, and it sucks to have to say like, oh man, we might have to abandon some allies here because like, what the fuck is going on, guys? Like, that's a really weird pill to swallow, and I honestly don't like the fact that but we have to make people realize that Democrats are more moderate than they're giving us credit for, and that MAGA is the extremists here. What else? I don't know, man. Yeah, but we lost on a culture war, bro, and that shit was criminal. I don't know who told anybody that shit was okay. I don't know who did the marketing for Republicans, but damn, did they do a good job. They killed that shit, dude. They did amazing. They got us. But and hopefully people will hopefully oh well, actually, I guess technically I hope that this isn't the case, but hopefully shit gets bad enough to where people are like, "Oh my God, shit actually is terrible and we may have made a mistake." Things will have to get bad enough that even the most, determined, faithful Trump supporters, guess what? They'll inevitably have to turn their back. They'll have to say, like, dude, this is getting inexcusable. Like, what the fuck can we even do here? That I'll be honest, they're gonna have to gonna bite their own bullet, but the rest of us are gonna have to bite that bullet along with them. We're all gonna have to suffer for those decisions that were made. So, but hey, man, you do what you can, bro. So, oof, this might do some. Oh, chip him down. Hell yeah. Bing, 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 bing. Hell yeah. Bing, 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 bing. All right, nice. Oh shit, who's in this bitch? What's up, Miles? I'm recording a YouTube video. I'm gonna be in a second. Um, yeah, dude, that shit crazy though. That shit crazy as fuck, ain't it? Um, yeah, brother. You know how that shit get. Um, yeah, they appeal to people's fear, and we try to appeal with facts. But the problem is, if you're not willing to hear facts, then the exercise is pointless. So we got to find a way to engage on some moral, ethical plane that is conducive to their worldview that just works for them. And that's going to be tough. Um, how they manage to convince, I don't know. I don't know, dude. Yeah, shit got really weird. Shit got really weird during that. Oh, dude. You know what? I'm about to do something crazy. Do I fucking, I can't do that. I can't. I was gonna sell these two to pump it into this guy to make him really strong, but that's just not a good call. Like I'm gonna lose. I think I end up losing out more than, especially if they have. Oh, I might have actually been like a valid call. Yoink. Bing, 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 bing. Oh shit, biscuits. Bing, 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 bing. Nice. Okay, we win that. Thank God. I needed to clean that up a little bit. Let's see. Oh shit, I shouldn't have skipped that quick, but anyway, that's fine. Nigga, what is that bullshit? Fuck off, pussy. Bink, 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 bink. Damn, that was close. By fucking 2 HP, we won that. All right. By a monkey donkey. Uh, I don't know. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Yeah, the culture war shit. Um, people are weird, bro. I don't know. I'm trying to think here. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I don't know how you get people to change their minds either. Because I'll be honest, like it is, here's the thing, right? I do my best to respect people's opinions when they're not necessarily grounded in fact or logic and real world shit. That's when I feel the need to change people's minds. However, we can disagree on like policy and other things, but we are so misaligned at this point. It feels that it is that we can't even start to have like the important conversations. So, um, it may be my own hubris, it may be my own, but like with people that aren't receptive to my ideas, with people that I constantly make concessions to, but none are ever afforded to me. When you fight conspiracy after conspiracy, when the government's this big bad entity, when like the world is as bleak and negative as they want it to be, they have zero incentive to listen to me. And I don't know how to navigate that. Um, but I mean, and like I said, normally I try to respect people's opinions, but I really do want to attempt to change people's minds, make them come into the light. Um, I don't know, man. No idea. That being said, we got I realized some more pardons today. Not pardons, sorry, executive orders. ACA shit was out of control. Fucking pardons were out of control. Seattle just shot down the birthright citizenship thing. The Trump administration will more likely appeal that constantly until it makes it up to the Supreme Court, at which point they'll probably refuse to hear it and refer back to a previous court's decision because it is so well founded, unless the Supreme Court is going to break precedent, as they have so many times before. And quite frankly, I don't think it'll happen, but yeah. People don't realize why these executive orders are so bad. Sure, you could say he's getting things done, but this is not how our government is supposed to function. Democracy is not supposed to move as fast as it is. If you want fast, you go live in a dictatorship. But that's what Trump is trying to affect is like this unitary decision making. It's scary. Um, I don't think so. I don't think people will get violent. I don't see. I think there's a lot of potential, right? Like for violence, especially with Jan 6 people being pardoned. But I don't see an ignition source, if that makes sense. I don't know what would kick it off, because largely it would have to be Democrats that start the fighting. Because your Republicans, quite frankly, are in a winning position. They do have us bent over the sofa here. And I don't think to engage in, violence while you're winning it's somewhat nonsensical to me. Um, but we'll see. Um, yeah, grandma, grandma did the pardons. MAGA Granny, she rejected her pardon. I thought that was beautiful. Wish we had more people like that cared about the sanctity of the United States. Oh, with the Seattle thing, the judge called it the most blatant breach of the U.S. Constitution that he has seen in his 40 years in the judicial branch of government. 40 years, most blatant, flagrant disregard for the Constitution. Like I said, you can have opinions on birthright citizenship. You can. And whether you think people should change that, we can have that conversation. To justify Trump's actions as acceptable when it directly conflicts with established law in the United States is indefensible. That's just like me saying, "Hey, man, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like this guy. I think we should." It's okay to not like him. It's all right. But if I go and break laws to negatively affect that person because I don't like them, that's when shit gets, amoral and unacceptable, right? If I say, man, I really don't like this guy, and you effectuate a negative outcome for them by killing them, you were entitled to that feeling, you were entitled to that opinion, and we could have discussed reasons why you hated that nigga. What you didn't have the right to do was go break the law based on this opinion you had. You can have opinions about birthright citizenship. We can work to affect, change, whether that's imposing restrictions. One parent has to be a naturalized citizen in order for, birthright citizenship to kick in. Okay, sure. We can talk about a compromise there. An executive order is not the way to do that. And I think it shows again a blatant disregard for the institutions that are present in our country. Um, Lake and Riley bill. We'll talk about that real quick. I'll be honest, don't know much about it. I think I have somewhat for me, from reading the bill, it looks like states got the opportunity to sue the federal government if they see that they're not handling migrants appropriately, illegal migrants appropriately. We can sue for that. So there's that. I think I think in it didn't explicitly say this, but the wording of the bill may dissolve states' rights um for the like this concept of a sanctuary city. It may dissolve the state's rights to have a sanctuary city. Sanctuary cities being, of course, they call them that, and they don't mean literally where, illegal immigration is okay, but it's the fact that these cities don't report or refuse to cooperate with the federal government. Say, hey, release ICE reports and shit like that. I'm like, no, we're not gonna do that. We'll do, X, Y, and Z. We'll do this, we'll do that, but we're not gonna. If you catch them, that's fine, but like, we're not going to assist in that process. That's why people call these things a sanctuary city. But a lot of the time, like Houston, Houston does. Once you're detained and arrested and you go to jail, immigration does sweeps of the jail every day. You don't last the day. If you're illegal and you broke a law and you're in that jail, you're fucking getting deported. Like immigration found your ass and you're fucked. Um, I don't think you can see my screen. I'm gonna look some things up from my own curiosity. So, guys, I can't wait. I'm gonna try to learn scuba here soon. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get this free open water cert. It's $500 though. That shit's expensive. Um, what did I want to do? Is Houston. Yeah. So I don't think there's anything like, so here's the deal, right, guys? The thing with sanctuary cities is you can have a you can have an opinion on whether you think sanctuary cities are right. But I think ultimately you miss a larger idea, and the reason why the federal government won't impose itself on sanctuary cities, the reason why these things do exist and are allowed to exist, is because the framers of the Constitution, and yeah, the framers of the Constitution said, hey, we live in a government, we live in a land of enumerated powers, meaning that the federal government is allocated the powers that are explicitly laid out to it in our Constitution. Any other powers are granted to and in view of and whatever to the states. Anything that's not explicitly stated inside the federal government is given to the state governments. So that being said, I do think that limiting states' freedom, centralizing this power through the removal of like forcing states to cooperate with the federal government, it may set a deadly precedent of too much power being localized in the federal government, uh, which is something the framers wouldn't have wanted. So, because then you start to, actually turn into like a monarchy or too much power. Yeah, all this good stuff. Um, the same things that they were attempting to escape. Oh, she replied to my story. African motherfucker. But nah, man. What was I late? Hold on. Uh, damn, I lost my train of thought, boy. What the fuck was I talking about? Um, so while you can think like sanctuary city, like you can have an opinion on sanctuary cities and like whether they're good, bad, and X, Y, and Z, but understand the historical precedent of your opinion and what enforcing it would look like. That's the reason that we navigate laws so carefully in the United States and seemingly we affect so little change is because we walk this very delicate balance. The problem is, I feel like this was a statement that I wanted to make kind of mid that last topic during my Sanctuary Cities talk, that kind of popped into my head. I feel like people make decisions and have these ideas in a vacuum. And what I mean by that is the idea that everybody considers everything independently. And when you do that, something can look objectively good, objectively bad, when you don't consider implications to the structure as a whole or have historical context or precedent set when making these decisions. So it's unique. It's weird, and largely that's the reason I feel like I disagree with many people is because I'm like, that's fine. We can disagree about sanctuary cities. I don't even think I have a like, I don't know if I think sanctuary cities should be a thing, right? Illegal immigrants shouldn't be in this country. Like by definition, they're breaking a law, right? They're illegal. Um, should the local governments, if somebody breaks a law and is in custody, cooperate with the federal government to see an illegal citizen removed? Intuitively, I'd probably say yes. That's sure. But the reason that I will fight for sanctuary cities, not because I support the idea of a sanctuary city, not, oh, well, sorry, not that I support the actions the sanctuary city is taking, is because I support your right to take those actions. You see, it's the same idea with freedom of speech. I may not love what you're saying, but I will die. Me personally, I will die. I'm not just saying hypothetical. Me personally, I will fucking lay my life down to fight for your right to say it, as many others have. As many, and that's I feel like it's a common phrase that we hear out of the military. I'll be honest, more and more, I do feel the need to fight, defend, preserve my country. Uh, God, it sounds like I'm giving a call to fucking call to violence here, call to action. Nah, I'm speaking strictly personal, but more and more I've toiled with the idea of like what would I be willing to do? And I've it was a dream of mine to join the military. It was a dream of mine to fight for freedom here and abroad. And they know that sentiment still quite hasn't left me into my mid 20s. So unfortunately, I make too much money in private industry. But if for whatever reason I lose my job, do my thing, I'll join the military because I do take an enormous amount of pride in being a United States citizen. Sorry, not American, United States citizen. And I love this country. I think it allows you to be the best version of yourself. So that being said, yeah, I feel like people make these decisions largely in vacuums. I feel like people don't have historical context and often don't think of, I mean, of course, government is super complex, it's massive, and weighing these huge decisions where you're spending millions, billions, and trillions of dollars, it is difficult for anybody to manage. So that being said, and not to mention the average American does not know how government works. They probably couldn't name all three branches of government. They couldn't tell you the departments under the executive branch. They probably couldn't tell you about like really any of the fucking amendments besides the first and the second. Um, I used to know all of them. I don't any longer. Um, yeah, they don't know shit. And so you have these opinions, but you have no historical justification. You have no what you're largely operating on now when you consider things in a vacuum. You're considering it based off vibes. How does that idea sound? How does it resonate? Well, yeah, it's a good idea. Having sanctuary cities and kicking out illegal immigrants, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Probably, probably. You don't want a large illegal population in your country. This is true. Um, but when you don't understand the scope of the problem, the decisions that you come up with can be underkill or overkill. Um, and I think that's largely what we attempt to avoid by carefully considering and having hundreds of people in Congress pass bills because of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Everybody gets their opinions heard. We vote. We say, this allows, while it is a slow moving process, it makes sure that it gets done right. And yep, shit happens. Mistakes get made. Sometimes we defund the wrong thing. Sometimes we impose too harsh a restriction. Brother, stuff like this happens. But it's so that we don't make fundamental changes to the idea of democracy, to the establishment. Because, quite frankly, our Constitution and its interpretation is extremely complex. It is a living, breathing document that has been able to adapt over the course of centuries to still be applicable to this day. The framers were geniuses. They were able to write a document that endured. I mean, not as brilliant as the people that wrote the Magna Carta, right? But 1215, baby. But that being said, that was able to withstand the test of time. They didn't know the technologies we would have. They didn't know they were in the goddamn Stone Ages, baby. Writing by candle and lantern light, and they forged a document that dictates the fate and the future of the U.S., the country of the U.S. I have great respect and admiration for the framers in that regard. Uh, so it is a complex system that we navigate, and while it can be agitating at times to not see the change that you want as quickly as you would like, um, executive orders, dictatorship, all this bullshit is not the way to do it. I pray to God we see a schism in the Republican Party, especially because of Trump's actions, and hopefully not too many people bend the knee. I feel like many people are scared right now, and as difficult as it is, standing tall with your chin up and saying enough is enough and no is That's how we do it. Um, Often these questions have a big answer, and a big answer can be simple, like the word no. Um, because yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with this idea because I do feel myself becoming slightly more radical isn't the word, but patriotic. Like I personally feel more threatened than ever. And I really don't like the way things are going right now. Finding ways that I can effectuate change that I want to see is going to be difficult and interesting. I'm looking to join the NAACP. I'm looking at finding chapters around me, ways to volunteer, ways to get into the community. I just kind of wish I wasn't in Austin. I kind of wish, like, find ways to do better community outreach where we can get more people out to vote, more people doing these things, because Lord knows we need it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's interesting too, the number of people that just voted for Trump during our during the elections, like people that just wrote in Trump and then skipped all the electors was like hilarious. This election, it happened a lot. So uh, and it's funny. I think it was in like Michigan or Wisconsin or somewhere where Democrats still won the seat, but the state was red for some whatever fucking reason. Um, the Democrats won. I think we stole like 15 Senate seats or some shit like that. Like we did the damn thing. Like we were people support Democrats. We barely lost the popular vote. We lost like shit in the electorate. But guys, all hope is not lost. We just got to find ways to effectuate change. Feel pride in your country. Understand that it's worth fighting for. And when I say fight, I mean metaphorically with your voices. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Don't give in because it is easy to keel over and let people run its course. I personally thought about tucking my head and hiding away from the political environment over the next 4 years and emerging from the ashes, emerging from the rubble and ruin and saying, all right, well, where do we go from here? Um, I don't think that's the approach. Because if it gets bad enough, there won't even be ashes to rise your head up out of. Um, 3 days in, and I'm grossly concerned. 4 years in, I don't know where we're gonna be at. So anyway, I've done enough yapping about really nothing. I don't know. I don't know what else to talk about. I bought a shit ton of Intel stock. I should have sold it the other day and just walked away with my profits. I got greedy and now I'm paying for it. Well, not literally paying for it. I just wish I had more money. I wanted to get back up to 22 so I can walk away, but I don't think it is. I'm not down, and I probably will. I'll be honest, I can't lose money on this trade. I really can't. But Lord knows that I could have walked away with more. And I don't have high hopes for much of anything anymore. So we'll see. Anyway, that's enough. Adios, y'all.